Hi guys, I'm in front of the rat cage today because we're going to talk about what you need for rats. So if you saw my last rat related video, you know that sadly my two older boys, Edmund and Shasta, who Shasta is the dad of Lewis and Peter is in there somewhere, they passed away. And unfortunately I have to start this video off by letting you know that my third oldest boy, who was named Eustace and was the brother of Shasta, so the uncle of these guys, also passed away. He passed away very recently. Somebody's trying to go into my collar. He doesn't understand why I'm standing in front of him but facing away from him. Normally I'm like, hello, I love you so much. He was about 2 years old, which is old for a rat, and he, I'm pretty sure, had a stroke. So it was very sudden and very sad, and feels super weird only having two rats now. But these are the two that I bred, and they're still very young, and I am extremely bonded to them. And oh gosh, I just love them so much. And it's actually, you know, as much as I miss the older boys, I'm really loving having these two. And only these two. Because they're awesome. They're hilarious. I love their personalities. That's that update done. I apologize for starting the video off on a downer. But today we're going to talk about what you would need to get in order to have pet rats. So I definitely encourage people, if they're planning on getting a certain animal, I usually suggest to have everything, or at least the majority of what you need for the animal before you go and get that animal. So hopefully this video can kind of help you out and help you make a list if you're planning on pet rats. So the first one is a pretty obvious one. It's an enclosure or a cage or a setup, whatever you want to call it. This one that I use is the Double Critter Nation. I personally think this is one of the best, if not the best, for rats. You don't necessarily have to go get this one. These are very expensive. I got an insane deal buying this secondhand, so that is always an option. I actually encourage people to look secondhand first for pet items, because pet items across the board are expensive. What you want to look for in a cage: more height space than floor space, and that is because these buggers love to climb. As you're demonstrating, thank you for that. Don't put rat fingerprints on my glasses. So they love to climb, and I think it's good to encourage that in them because it is good exercise. This could be considered excessive for two rats. You don't have to get one this height. It's just there are a lot of cages that are very low and long, and those are usually for like guinea pigs and rabbits, and I don't personally think that those are really appropriate for what rats need. Another thing is well ventilated. If it's a wire cage like this, it's got bars and bar spacing, that's great. Most rat cages are going to be like that. I don't agree with keeping rats full-time in an aquarium. Bin cages are meh. I kept the babies and their mom when I was breeding them in a bin cage just because it was safer to have babies in there. But I personally wouldn't use a bin cage just because, I mean, you can make it pretty well ventilated, but they can actually chew their way out of it if they're notorious chewers. Like this one is chewing on my shirt. Way out of it. Stop! I don't want holes in this shirt. I just got it. Come here. Come here. You're gonna make sure that it has proper bar spacing. These are 1/2 inch bar spacing, and for example, because you know I have experience with a litter of very tiny baby rats, until they were, I think, 5 weeks old. Was it 5 weeks? I did not feel comfortable putting them in this cage because they were still little enough that they could escape. An inch spacing I think is way too big, even for an adult rat, especially females, because they're smaller than males. You just don't want to risk them sticking their head through something and then getting stuck. And if you have like little rats and you feel like the 1/2 inch is going to be a little risky, just keep them in a tinier cage with little bar spacing until they're big enough to move into their full-time cage. Another thing for the bars is for them to be horizontal instead of vertical, and that just helps with climbing. So most likely you're going to want to use bedding. I personally don't agree with using fleece blankets as bedding for rats, and I can do a video on that separately. So you're going to want to use like loose bedding, and I prefer paper-based bedding, but with a wire cage, if there's no like high sides where the bedding goes and the bedding just spills out all over the place. I had to kind of DIY my own, and you can look that up. There's so many options. Some of them are incredibly easy, and there are some things additions you can buy to create high sides for their bedding. You're gonna need substrate, and obviously I already said that paper bedding is the best in my personal opinion. Even though something like aspen is known to be safe across the board for small animals, it is very dusty, and these guys have very sensitive respiratory systems. Also, shavings are just like really messy in my opinion. Stay away from pine and cedar wood shavings. Those are toxic for these guys. Paper bedding is very expensive. There are ways that you can make it a little easier though. There is a way to make your own. I can link to Aaron's Animals videos about that. The brand that I use is called Boxo Comfort, and it is the cheapest that I have found. I really love it. You may or may not want a litter box. I don't use them. I don't think it makes any sense because they poop and pee in their bedding, and then I just clean out the bedding. They pee in their hammocks and I wash those anyway, so I just don't really see the point of litter training them, but they can be litter trained. But if you want a litter box, get like a corner litter box, because they really love peeing in corners, and I would suggest getting an actual litter for that, and again, paper-based would be really good. Now for their food. So I will link a video below to a video I made very recently about what I feed my rats if you want suggestions. So with that, you would want food bowls. Now you can scatter feed, totally up to you, and that just means sprinkling their food throughout the cage. I personally put their food in bowls, and for food bowls, you're going to want to use heavy ones so that they can't knock it over. You're not going to want to use plastic ones, because not only will those be knocked over, but they will be chewed on most likely. That's not really healthy, so go with something that is ceramic. So for their water, I do not suggest water bowls, because those just become a complete mess with these guys. Definitely water bottles is a great investment, and I personally think that glass ones are the best. And the reason I say glass, I'm sure there's people out there who have had glass bottles that leak, but in my personal experience, it's the plastic ones that have caused me problems. It's also just healthier to drink out of something glass than plastic. So for water, this may surprise a lot of people, and I do want to do a video separate on this, but because in our tap water there is fluoride, fluoride is very bad for rats. So if you don't have that filtered out in some way, I highly suggest buying spring water from the grocery store. You can just get big jugs of it. They're really cheap. Nail clippers are going to be something that you're going to want to have with you. Now, if you have, presumably you have nail clippers for yourself, and I actually find that those ones work the best. Hammocks, absolutely don't skimp out on hammocks. These guys, for whatever reason, just love hammocks, and I don't just mean these two individuals, I mean rats across the board. I would suggest looking on websites such as Wish and Amazon to get cheaper hammocks. There are also easy ways to make your own. A lot of people I know do that. So I actually got mesh ones for the summertime because it gets very hot here. Most pet hammocks are fleece. I think I got mine all from Wish, but I'm sure there's some you can get on Amazon. A tip is to look under cat hammocks, because they don't usually make mesh specific hammocks for small animals, but they do for cats. Perches are not a necessity. If you want to add them, that's cool. You can add bird perches. So definitely don't skimp out on things that they can chew. Obviously safe things that they can chew. So hanging toys such as this one, it's got pine cones, sizzle, and wood things on it. So a bunch of those, put them all throughout the cage. Rodents' teeth never stop growing, so they need to chew on stuff to keep them warm worn down. Things like cardboard and paper are safe for these guys. So for cardboard, rolls from your toilet paper and your paper towel are one of their favorite toys, and obviously very cheap. Cardboard boxes and just packaging from cardboard boxes, they also love that. Toilet paper, paper towel, tissue paper, tissues, and packing paper are all safe. You can give them hides. There are things called Sputniks that are really fun. They can be hard to get where I am, but they are really fun and rats seem to like them, and you can hang them from the top of the cage, or they can sit on the ground. You're gonna want a carrier, and you're not gonna want to get one of those cute ones for small animals that's made out of fabric, because these guys will chew their way out really fast and escape. You're gonna want something plastic. There are ones sold specifically for small animals, though they're usually pretty small. So I definitely suggest cat carriers. Somebody's got my hair. Cleaning supplies. This is gonna be vital for you, and you are gonna realize that there's a lot of cleaning that needs to be done with these guys. Yeah. Oh, so much cleaning. So much poop. Ow. What I clean with is a mixture of vinegar and water, and I put more vinegar in it than water, and I just put it in a spray bottle. And that is an awesome cleaner. It really helps get rid of odors. I use paper towel to wipe stuff down with. Yeah, not much more I can say about that. Paper towel is my best friend. There's a smoke alarm. Wow. You're gonna want a scooper, and I would suggest getting one that's meant for cat litter boxes, and that's just gonna help you scoop up not only their poop, but the bedding. Have a broom and dustpan that are specifically for cleaning up after your pets. If you have a pet room, just keep it there. If you only have rats, just use it for them, because the broom and the dustpan frankly get pretty gross, and you just don't want to be spreading rat hair and whatever else around your house. So yeah, that's important. And also a mini broom and dustpan I have found to be a lifesaver, and I usually use that to sweep inside their cage. You're gonna want a garbage can. You don't have to get a huge one, but make sure it's one that closes. So I have a little one in my room that I use all the time just for my stuff, but it's mainly used for my pets. So when you're cleaning out the poop or whatever on a daily basis and you're not doing a full clean, you're gonna want to stick it in the garbage, and it really stinks, so make sure it has a lid. With that, you're gonna want, little garbage bags for that garbage can, but you're also gonna want big garbage bags, unless you have another way of doing this, obviously. For me, when I do a full clean, I put all of their bedding and all the paper towel that I use and everything in a garbage bag. So something that can be handy is blankets or towels that are specifically for them. If you don't want them to ruin your couch or your bed or whatever you put them on to do playtime with, you can put a blanket over top of that surface. You can also put it like on your lap when you're clipping their nails. You can also put it in their carrier. Probably the most important thing that you want to make sure you have before you get rats, or really any animal, is a vet that you can bring that animal to. There are so many cat and dog vets and not very many small animal vets. So you can't just assume that the vet clinic you saw near your home will accept your rats if there's an emergency or whatever. So you need to look at the vets in your area, call them, all that kind of stuff, to find out if they will see exotics / small animals. Okay, so that's everything I have on my list. If there's anything you rat owners can think of that would also be really good, leave that below in the comments. I hope this was helpful to some of you. Yep, don't really know how to end this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!